Florida Life Care Residents Association works to ensure quality of life in retirement communities. We represent residents in the state legislature and work with various groups that represent the providers to understand the legislation and rules as they impact our residents. We pass this knowledge to our residents through many educational avenues. FLiCRA chapters and residents' councils work closely together to safeguard our quality of life. The following modules are the result of an ongoing education initiative based on questions from residents and residents' councils. The modules begin with the basics and proceed to more advanced information vital to running a successful residents' council. This training was developed by subject matter experts, including former and active residents' council members. This information is not legal advice, but intended to provide guidance to help local residents' council leaders make informed decisions. The material is delivered in a question and answer format, mimicking conversations many of us have been a part of. Welcome to Resident Access to the Residents' Council. This module will cover several key topics to help you understand a resident's access to the Residents' Council. First, we'll go over an overview of the Residents' Council responsibilities. Next, we'll discuss the various ways a resident can interact with the Residents' Council. Then we'll explore some common sources of questions or complaints that the Council addresses. Following that, we'll walk you through the dispute resolution process available to residents. And finally, we'll provide you an introduction to the Florida Life Care Residents Association, or FLiCRA. According to Florida Statute 651, the Residents' Council is the formal body established to serve as a liaison between residents and the appropriate representative of the provider. The Council's role is to act as the primary communications link, ensuring that resident concerns and suggestions are heard by management and that information from the provider is effectively shared with the residents. Residents' councils in Florida do not fall under the state's Sunshine Law. Instead, residents' councils have the authority to create their own rules regarding open meetings. While the general practice is for meetings to be open to all residents, the councils are allowed to hold private or executive session meetings when discussing sensitive topics. This is permitted as long as it does not conflict with the council's own rules or bylaws. There are several ways residents can interact with their council. Let's look at some of the most common avenues for communication. To get residents involved, residents' councils should hold regular open meetings. It's a good idea for councils to also meet soon after the required quarterly provider meetings. This way, the council can quickly gather information and tackle important issues directly from residents. Residents may submit formal proposals to the council for new programs or services. For a proposal to be effective, it should be constructive, outline a specific course of action, and explain the reasoning behind it. The goal is to request a clear decision from the council. Some examples of resident proposals include a new community vegetable garden or a program to use recyclable containers in dining services. Some residents' councils create a form for resident suggestions, questions, or feedback. Most require that all submissions be signed so they may follow up with the resident if they have questions or need more information. Sometimes, residents may be more comfortable speaking directly with a member of the council. Scheduling an appointment ensures there is adequate time for a thorough discussion about your topic. Residents' councils have a responsibility to respond professionally and in a timely manner to inquiries from residents. This builds trust and strengthens the community, making residents feel heard, valued, and confident in the council's ability to address their concerns. So what kinds of questions or complaints do residents' councils typically handle? Let's take a look at some of the more common sources. The most typical questions revolve around policy changes that are being considered or have already been implemented by management within a community. Common questions can relate to changes in the usage of community shuttle vans or buses, dining services such as menus or hours, and processes for emergency alert or medical response for independent living units. Changes of this nature are typically policy-related and are usually outlined in a community's residence handbook. These policy changes are rarely part of the original life care or continuing care agreement signed by the resident upon moving into the community. The management of a community can change operating policies as it relates to resident living without any review or need for approval from the OIR. While residents may have a chance to offer input or seek clarification regarding the decision's rationale, policy changes are ultimately at the discretion of the provider. The Residence Council should be prepared to answer questions regarding topics in the Residence Handbook. If questions regarding fees or services arise, the Residence Council may direct the resident to a management representative. The Council should then report these questions as old business in subsequent meetings and report on their resolution. This builds trust the inquiry was addressed. But what happens when there's a dispute between a resident and management? Let's look at the steps a resident usually takes. The first step is to talk to management. With rare exceptions, management will make every effort to respond to your complaints. Sometimes a concern stems from a simple misunderstanding that a one-time meeting can solve. It's important to remember that management's responsibility is to ensure the financial health of the entire community and the satisfaction of all residents as a group. Because of this, there are times when the good of the whole must take precedence over the desire of an individual or a small group of residents. If the dispute is still not resolved, you can consider going to the Residence Council. The Council can be an effective sounding board. If the issue affects multiple residents, the Council may agree to act as a liaison on your behalf. According to Florida Statute 651, the Residence Council is the formal body designated to serve as the liaison between residents and the provider. The Florida Life Care Residents Association, or FLiCRA, has no legal or regulatory authority to resolve disputes. However, it can still be a valuable resource for residents. FLiCRA may be able to provide helpful information or insight about the laws and rules governing continuing care retirement communities. They may also be able to refer you to a resident group or a chief executive officer from another CCRC that had a similar problem that was resolved to the satisfaction of the affected parties. What happens when a dispute is still not resolved? There are several ways to escalate a complaint. One option is to file a complaint with the appropriate agency. The two agencies are the Department of Financial Services, Division of Consumer Services, and the Office of Insurance Regulation. The contact information for both agencies is posted in an area that is accessible to all residents. In some cases, these agencies may be involved in the mediation or arbitration of resident and provider disputes, as outlined in the Administrative Code sections 690-193.062 and 690-193.063. If a resident believes that there has been a violation of Florida Statute 651, they have a final escalation option, requesting an inspection by the Office of Insurance Regulation. Any interested party can request this inspection of the CCRC's records and related financial affairs. If the OIR determines that the complaint does in fact allege a violation of Chapter 651, they are required to conduct an inspection. You can find more information about this process in Florida Statute 651.111. To summarize, we've reviewed the responsibilities of the Residence Council, the various ways you can interact with them, common sources of questions or complaints, and the recommended dispute resolution process. As we conclude, we want to emphasize the vital role of your membership in supporting FLiCRA's mission. Our strength and impact are directly tied to the engagement of our members. FLiCRA membership has grown steadily since its inception, a testament to the value we provide and the importance of our collective voice. We work hard to keep you informed and connected. FLiCRA produces a quarterly newsletter that is full of information important to our members, keeping you up to date on industry trends, regulatory changes, and resident issues. During Florida's short legislative session, FLiCRA regularly communicates critical information on legislation that may affect our members, ensuring your interests are represented and you're aware of impending impacts. We also actively work with the OIR and other key stakeholders to develop proposed amendments to Florida Statute 651 or other relevant legislation, striving to improve the regulatory framework for the benefit of all CCRC residents. Our local chapters provide vital communication channels, foster networks between chapters, and play a crucial role in monitoring the conduct of their specific providers. This local vigilance is indispensable. Finally, it's important to understand that your membership dues provide 99% of FLiCRA's funding. This means that nearly all of our advocacy, communication, and support services are made possible directly by your commitment. Your membership isn't just a number. It's the financial backbone of our efforts to empower and protect CCRC residents across Florida. Thank you for your continued support.